What's up, everybody, man? It's your boy, Mr. Duga, coming at y'all with another video, man. And today, man, I'm going to talk about something that kind of been on my mind a little bit, man. I think the NFL needs to change the overtime rules, man, going forward. Obviously, it ain't going to change for this season, but I think in the next year or two, I think they need to change the overtime rules to put it kind of similar to the college rule, man. And even high school. In high school football in overtime, the team gets the ball at the 10-yard line. In college, the team gets the ball at the 25. I think in the NFL, man, the NFL should get the ball at the 40-yard line. Now, granted, I know people in a weird way in regular season football don't necessarily want to get away from ties. So what I think in the regular season should happen is you got two overtimes where you got one where, you kick the extra point, and then the second overtime you go for two. And if, the teams are still tied after the second overtime, then I think you call it a tie, man. In the NFL, in the regular season, you go ahead like, hey, it's a tie. But in the playoffs, obviously you'll keep going. Once the second overtime, you start going for two, and then obviously you'll keep going and going and going and going. The reason I think, man, we should do this is because I know nobody thinking about it, but the New England Patriots beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Obviously, Brady got the ball. They went down, got a touchdown ball game. Do you imagine the outcry? Let's just hypothetically say the Kansas City Chiefs won that coin toss. And they got the ball because their offense at the time was rolling, you know what I'm saying, at that point in the game. Imagine Mahomes got the ball, went down, got a touchdown, and the Chiefs went to the Super Bowl. And Tom Brady didn't get to touch the ball at all because of a coin flip. Do you imagine the outcry that would have been if Brady never got to touch the ball in overtime? Go back to the Super Bowl, like when they played the Falcons. Now, granted, the Falcons choked so bad that I think if they would have got the ball first, they wouldn't have do nothing with it anyway. Like, let's just be honest. I get that aspect. But let's just hypothetically say that after Brady led this historic comeback to send this game into overtime, say the Falcons won the toss and then went down and got a touchdown. And then they got it together. They rallied the troops and went down and got a touchdown and won the Super Bowl. Do you imagine the outcry it would have been that, oh, man, Brady was coming back, man. Brady tied again, and he didn't even get a chance to touch the ball. We didn't get a chance to see his greatness in overtime. Do you imagine the outcry it would have been behind that? So, I think we need to do something about that before something like that happens. You know what I'm saying? Before something like that happens, because it's happened to other people. You see, people are not going to make much of a big deal about it since it happened to Patrick Mahomes and it happened to Matt Ryan. But once it start happening to people like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers and all of them, then it's going to be like, okay, we need to do something about it. Like, for example, when the first overtime rule got changed was the 2009-2010 NFC Championship game with the Minnesota Vikings and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints won the coin toss and barely got in field goal range for a Gary Hartley field goal to win the game. What was the outcry in that? The great Brett Favre didn't get to touch the football. And back then, you just needed a field goal. The great Brett Favre, he didn't get it don't make no sense. We need to change the rule because Brett Favre didn't even get to see the ball in overtime. So that's when they decided to well, you know what? Instead of a field goal, you got to at least get a touchdown. The rule changed because of that NFC Championship game with the Saints and Vikings. And it was because Brett Favre didn't get to touch the football. I promise you, if Kansas City beat New England, won the toss and beat New England, or if the Falcons beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl in overtime a couple of years ago, this rule would have got changed by now. It's like they're waiting for something drastic. The NFL likes to wait for something drastic to happen before they implement rules. The reason we got instant replay is because of all the crazy non-call reviewable plays back in the day. The reason we get to review pass interference next year is because of the Saints-Rams no call. Why the NFL got to wait for things drastically to happen before they decide to make a change, man? You have the platform. Why it took for video of Ray Rice to come out for them to implement you know, the domestic violence penalty. Why the NFL, like, Roger got to wait for things drastically to happen to make these moves, man? Get on it, step on it, make the moves before these things happen. You see a pattern here. Like make these rules before these things happen, man. That's all I'm saying, you know. But with that being said, man, that's all I got for y'all today. Appreciate y'all checking out the video. Go and give me a subscribe, man. I'm gonna have NFL content, man, throughout the year. Y'all have a blessed one. Fly, Eagles, fly.